Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning in to AMTV Alternative Media Television. It's Wednesday, August 12, 2015, and this Chinese Yuan renminbi devaluation is an act of war, the currency war. This intentional depreciation of the yuan to the dollar is basically inciting, as Peter Schiff had coined it, a race to the bottom.
Well, unfortunately, I think America is going to win the currency war, right? Which means Americans are going to lose. It's a race to the bottom. So that's the one war that you don't want to win, because the objective is to kill yourself. But I think we're going to win. But right now, you have a dollar bubble. I mentioned this. You have all these currency speculators that have been fooled by the Fed's monetary magic. They bought into the same head fake that they did in the late 1990s, where they believed the Fed, they had confidence in its monetary policy and the U.S. economy, and so they bid up the dollar. Everybody expects the Fed to be beginning a tightening cycle. They're going to start to shrink their balance sheet. None of this is going to happen. They're getting ready to do QE4. The balance sheet, which is now, what, $4.5 trillion, is going to explode, ultimately closer to $10 trillion. I think the currency speculators are betting the wrong way. And so when they figure it out, I think the bottom is going to drop out of the dollar. And, you know, we're going to win. I think everybody else is going to surrender in the currency wars and let us win.
Which all the currencies around the world have been debasing since the 2008-2009 financial collapse. Again, all this funny money, this giant freaking scam that has since propelled the stock market to new all-time highs. Now, China, there's a reason why they did this. Not only are they trying to debase to artificially support their falling, collapsing stock market, which had doubled over the last 12 months and has been falling like a knife in recent weeks, but also because they want to free float their currency to the dollar in relationship to other currencies, so it's more market oriented, so that potentially they can become a part of the SDR basket, the special drawing rights that makes up the IMF, that makes up the majority position as the world reserve currency.
But Christopher, I thought the world reserve currency was a conspiracy theory.
Well, nope. You see, the IMF basket makes up a special drawing rights, an SDR, of principal currencies around the world, which the US dollar has had the majority stake for some time and has since enjoyed. That status is all changing. It's one of the reasons why Mr. Kerry and Obama have been negotiating with Iran on this Iran nuclear deal. It has nothing to do with lifting sanctions to promote Iran getting the bomb or anything like that. It's because the East is gaining ground against the United States.
Are you kidding me? The United States is going to start sanctioning our allies and their banks and their businesses because we walked away from a deal, and we're going to force them to do what we want them to do, even though they agreed to the deal we came to? Are you kidding? That is a recipe quickly, my friends, for them to walk away from Ukraine, where they are already very dicey and ready to say, well, we've done our bit. They were ready, in many cases, to say, well, we're the ones paying the price for your sanctions. It was Obama who went out and actually put together a sanctions regime that had an impact. I went to China. We persuaded China, don't buy more oil. We persuaded India and other countries to step back. Can you imagine trying to sanction them after persuading them to put in place sanctions to bring Iran to the negotiating table? And when they have not only come to the table, but they made a deal, we turn around and nix the deal and then tell them you're going to have to obey our rules on the sanctions anyway. That is a recipe very quickly, my friends, business people here, for the American dollar to cease to be the reserve currency of the world, which is already bubbling out there.
The East is superseding the West. The West is being flushed down the toilet due to our own policies, our own political correctness, the shenanigans at the Federal Reserve, and the Wall Street whores that are itching for QE4. You know, we've talked about this for some time over this past several years, throughout, and post the 2008-2009 collapse. Not only is the Federal Reserve not going to raise rates meaningfully, again, I can say that I started a new workout program, but if this is all I'm doing, finger push-ups like this isn't a workout. A workout is actually doing squats, bench press, pull-ups, etc., dips. That's a workout. This isn't a workout. So when the Federal Reserve raises 50 bips or 25 bips or 75 bips, that's not raising interest rates meaningfully. Instead of really raising interest rates and normalizing policy, as Ben Bernanke has said behind closed doors will never do in his lifetime, instead of that, what they're actually going to do is initiate QE4. Quantitative Easing 4. Now, they might call it something different. They'll have some new name for it or new acronym. But that is what is more than likely going to happen. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if the Federal Reserve was in cahoots with China to devalue the Chinese yuan, so they had an excuse not to raise rates. See, now they can say it's a demand side issue. That demand is weakening with the GDP growth, they say, in China now 7%. It used to be double digits, and everything weakening on demand side. So we're seeing this royal financial markets. The S&P 500 has dipped below the 200-day moving average. The 50-day has dipped below the 200-day, otherwise known as a death cross, which could mean that we're starting to move even more aggressively into correction territory. Of course, we've had a dramatic sell-off in commodities recently, and we still have all these pundits that couldn't predict oil collapsing from $150 a barrel, now settling around 50, are now saying it's going to zero. Yeah, the same guys that had no idea commodities were going to crash in the first place are now saying that commodities and oil specifically is going to go to like 30 or maybe even potentially 20. Now you see, that's just ridiculous. The time to short oil was at 150, not 50. Now could oil go to 30? Yeah, of course. It's a market. Could it go to 20? Yeah, of course. It's a market, but it'd be grossly overshooting and would be yo-yoing, in my opinion, aggressively back to a more normalized direction. Oil should be trading at $65, $75 a barrel. We still use oil. We still need oil. I don't care about the shale revolution, all this new technology, et cetera, et cetera. And also what I've noted is just the strength. Have you noticed the strength even amongst the drillers in recent days? Even with oil supposedly tanking and collapsing and these problems in China, a lot of these names are up. You see, there's a sector rotation out from big tech. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. The trade used to be long big tech, short commodities. Long big tech, short oil. Now it's reversing. Notice we're seeing strength on the oil side, in the commodity side, in gold, in silver, in real tangible goods, items, etc. And we're seeing tech sell off. We've seen Apple, a market leader, moving into correction territory. I think that this trend has really just begun. I think the traders are just reversing the trade now. They're probably short the NASDAQ. They're short these big tech names. We saw Alibaba down 7%. I know people hate when I do that. Alibaba. So I just continue to do it because you hate it when because people just hate when I do that. Alibaba was down 7% in after hours trading based on its earnings report release. It was amazing. Some of these drillers too are actually posting really good numbers. Companies like Transocean, the Swiss driller, had a awesome earnings report a couple of days ago. Just awesome, stellar, blew it out of the water. Turns out they're not going out of business. Turns out that we still need oil. So again, that's one of the major trends and shifts that I see. But this devaluation of the Chinese yuan, otherwise known as the renminbi, the reason for it is because, again, China, with their establishment of the AIIB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the counterpoint and competitor to the World Bank, and the Western-driven IMF, this is all about initiating the Chinese yuan and the renminbi as the world reserve currency. So the U.S. is going to lose that superpower status. I mean, Trump is right when he says America is a loser. We don't win anything. We don't win against Mexico. We don't win against China. We don't win against the Middle East. It's these countries that are beating the shit out of us. It's why Iran and Russia are running war games right now in the Middle East. This is all about the establishment and the strengthening of the East against the West. The West is losing, the East is winning. And so it's really the same theme, the same exact theme we talked about 5 years ago. We talked about throughout and during the 2008-2009 financial crisis. This is a rush to the bottom, a rush to debase the currency. All the traders, Wall Street, that has currently been bidding up over the past few months, the dollar, that see this dollar strengthening, I think are being sold a lie, a head fake, total bullshit. I think it will reverse in the not too distant future. I agree with pundits like Peter Schiff, who were right on target predicting the collapse of the 2007 housing market and the collapse in credit. None of this is difficult to see if you just open up your eyes. So I expect these trends to continue. Again, there's much more to do with this Chinese devaluation of their currency. This isn't just a market move to stabilize their market. This is all about superseding the United States as the world's superpower, becoming and dominating that world reserve currency, becoming the world reserve currency, so the IMF will include it in its SDR basket, or it'll just simply move into its own basket with its creation of its own competitor banks in the name of the AIIB. This, of course, all leads to war. It leads to the debasing of the dollar until there is a currency shock and a currency crisis of a very serious magnitude here in the United States, which will upset, roil our financial system. At that point, all assets outside of, I believe, real tangible things like gold and silver will sell off dramatically. There will be 100% correlation, just like there were in 2008 and 2009. The system will collapse once again. Of course, it won't be the Federal Reserve's fault. It won't be the politicians' fault. It won't be the bankers' fault. They'll blame it on war. War, perhaps, will probably be the reset button, and it continues ad nauseum. It's exactly why we need a change here in America. It's why we need to make America great again. It's why we need people like Donald Trump, although he's egotistical and narcissistic and he's kind of an asshole. He is a business person. He is an outsider to the GOP. Yes, he's a business elitist, but he's not a part of the political establishment. That's a good thing. We need some change. We need to start winning again and stop losing. And that's been the case over much of my lifetime, actually, especially in recent years, and I'd like to change that. I'm Christopher Green. I'd love to hear what you think. Put your comment or question in the description box below. Tell me where you think the markets are headed, what you think about commodities, oil prices at these levels, what you think about gold and silver. Get this video out everywhere, make it viral, hard-hitting it in your face, and click the link below to support our sponsor. I'm asked all the time what I do to protect my investments. What are the strategies I implement to combat against all the things I talk about on a daily basis and over 2,000 plus videos in circulation at AMTV? The economy, 0% interest rates, this artificial manipulation at the Federal Reserve, the bailouts, the consequences of all the stimulus and artificial manipulation. What kind of strategy do I have in place for my family? What am I doing to protect our future? Well, one of the things I do is I invest in precious metals. I take 10% of everything I earn and I buy gold and I buy silver. And the company I trust that I do business with is Goldline. These are things you should already be doing, but if you're not, you need to pick up the phone right now. You need to click that link below. Visit Goldline. Download a free investor kit. Tell them Christopher Green of AMTV sent you. Act now. Get your family's financial future in order today.